Helen Keller right there, trying to make us understand or see, how powerful collaboration is. There's only so much that you can do by yourself. But when, team player, work with people, then you can go a really, really long way. Welcome to the conversation into your West Television Network, your digital first Pan-African news network. I'm reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital city. You do know that the conversation is usually very engaging and quite insightful. And of course, my name is Adeswell Sim. So I'll be moving straight into stories and happenings from across Africa. That's the development of Across Africa segment of the conversation, starting with this very sad and disturbing news from across West Africa. It says the highest number of children recruited into conflict by any region in the world is recorded in West and Central Africa, and the number is growing. That's a report by the UN Children's Agency from yesterday. Well, moving away from that to Sudan, a probe into violations committed against protesters since the military takeover on October 25 has commenced. Sudan's newly reinstated Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok said, according to a statement from his office. Yes, so basically they're trying to investigate if protesters, were manhandled, maltreated, in the time since October 25. And I do hope, if something is done, if they do find that a lot of them were mistreated. Moving away from that to Libya, less than a year after he took up the role as United Nations Libya mediator, Jan Kubitz is stepping down. A UN spokesman said on Tuesday, that's yesterday, a month before planned elections in the country. Libya has been raising quite a dust with, the first ever presidential election that is upcoming in the country. And the whole world is just waiting to see how that plays out. That's it for development across Africa here on the conversation. But before I proceed with the show, I'm bringing you COVID-19 update from across Africa. And I'll always tell you, COVID is still ravaging. Europe is having it really bad, Asia too. So just do your part to ensure that South Africa as well is hitting a fourth wave. We don't want that to happen in Nigeria. I will also want to see, reduction in the number of active cases. So just do your part to ensure that you and the next person is safe. COVID-19 update from across Africa. And after that, it's straight into the big story. You're still watching the conversation on your West Television Network, your digital first from African News Network. And as I always tell you, do join the community. Follow your West TV Network across all social media platforms. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. It's TOS TV Network. And the website is www.tostvnetwork.com, where you can watch a recap of all of our shows. So moving straight into the crux of the conversation, that's the big story. And so the focus today is on analysing the 5,000 transport grant for 40 million poor Nigerians. So yesterday, the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, that's Zainab Ahmed, did say that the federal government will be removing full subsidy in 2022, and that will be replaced by a 5,000 naira monthly transportation grant to poor Nigerians. So that's generated quite a number of reactions. I'm going to be having a conversation today with Adebayo Fajimi, a public affairs analyst, and is here with me in the studio. Good morning, Mr. Adebayo.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm very fine.
Okay, quickly into the whole conversation. Fuel subsidy is supposed to be taken out and replaced with transportation grant for about 30 to 40 million poorest Nigerians. What's your reaction to this, and how do you see this playing out?
Well, it is not, for me, it is not a good way to go for Nigeria, in a season or a time like this. The first question we need to ask the government is, what are the indices or the measure for them to determine that the people that will be receiving this grant, and are they telling us that it is only 30% or 40% Nigeria that are poor? Remember, not long ago, Nigeria was defined as a world poverty capital. So what are the indices? And two, so how do this money get to these people? Remember, during the lockdown, the same minister said that they are still continue, feeding students when the whole world is locked down, nobody is going to school. So how are we going to ensure that this thing gets to the people? I think the way the Nigerian government is going about it, the approach is deceptive enough, because the same government who some years ago, condemned past administration when they wanted to embark on something similar. So I don't think it is acceptable, and especially in a season like this when Nigerians are going through difficulty in terms of food security and all of that.
Yes.
So if you are removing this, at a point like this, then what is the hope of other African Nigerians?
Okay, I think that's a valid question, especially the one about how do you determine who is the poorest of the poor and the sharing indices and all that. And that brings me to my next question. It begs the question of, it's not the first time that the government is saying, look, we want to share monies to poor Nigerians, or unemployed Nigerians, 5,000 naira and all of that. So the calculation is about 200 billion naira. Do you think, putting all things being equal, say there's indices to say, okay, these are the people that are going to be getting the money and all of that. Do you think that it's a good idea, it's a step in the right direction? Or do you think 200 billion naira should be put into good use, should be, maybe put into another sector of the economy to ensure that we grow Nigeria?
I think that would have been the best, because even in developed world, there are things that the government subsidize, for their citizens, to ensure that, everybody benefits, from that particular sector. So instead of doing this, they could have, mark this money and put it into in a particular sector. Now you talk of the largest constituency that we have in Nigeria is the youth, and you have many youth who are working but who cannot earn, and you have those who are earning, those who want to earn but they cannot work. So when you compare the two, so why can't you just chunk this money out to this constituent and ensure that the youth, the largest constituents, are critically engaged? Because if giving people is not as important as teaching them or giving them the capacity to be able to make money themselves. So I think that would have been the best, rather than just saying they want to be giving. I see it as a means to embezzle again, because we know the kind of institution we run in Nigeria. This money will never get to the desired citizen. So that's it.
Oh, okay. Lastly, before I let you go, I know a lot of persons have said removing fuel subsidies is not a smart idea, given the situation of the country right now. But I think I was reading the news, was it yesterday or 2 days ago, where the World Bank, or was it World Bank or the UN, was telling Nigeria categorically that they need to remove subsidy on fuel and on electricity. If not, the country cannot grow at the pace that we really wanted. What is your reaction to that?
So, but another question I would like to ask is, okay, who is going to bear the brunt? So you have these people who have the capacity, who have the wherewithal, that even when they remove everything, is the economy okay? What you can go to the street and listen to the kind of music an African Nigeria is singing. So for me, at a point like this, those people who are talking there, this is palatable and can be workable in a very stabilized institution, not like ours. And what Nigerians keep saying is, this is the only means that everybody can benefit from as Nigerian. When you talk of education, you talk of all other things. An African Nigerian do not benefit, but an African Nigerian move from one place to the other. You go to buy stuffs in the marketplace and all of that. So I think the Nigerian government should have a rethink and see, or rather look for a better way to ensure that this thing is solved, and so that they will not just put unnecessary burden on the on African Nigerians.
All right, thank you so much for joining me on Conversation this
morning. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. And thank you for sticking with me up until this time on the conversation. As I always say, I'll be back here tomorrow, but before then, you need to be a part of the community. So just follow TOS TV Network across all social media platforms. That's TOS TV on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube. That's TOS TV Network. And of course, you can watch a recap of the conversation and other shows on www.tostvnetwork.com. My name is Ade Suwasuyi. Please remember to stay safe, I beg your pardon, and I'll see you again tomorrow.